Alright, so I figured I'd go ahead and get things started. I'm going to be talking to you guys about the process of how I dyed the extension hair for my Microloc extensions. As you could see, I was using the Clairol Textures and Tones. I used 5G and 7G Luminous blonde. Now this first clip is me going back and fixing the mistake that I was referring to in my last video. I'm not dyeing the whole bundle here, I'm just lightening the bottom. Last time what I did, so you can see I have the two bowls, right? I've got the bowl that I'm mixing here, and then I've got the other one off to the side. What I did before was use both of those bowls, one for the luminous blonde and one for a mixture of luminous blonde and the 5G darker color. I don't remember what it's called, maybe honey blonde, not entirely sure. But I used the same brush. Here I went to the store and got another brush so that I didn't have the same problem. But basically what happened before was I was using the same brush, going between luminous blonde and then the brown color, and the brown was still on my brush and then the extra blonde was on my brush. So basically what happened was the part that I wanted lighter because I had brown on my brush was darker, and then the part that I wanted darker was a lot lighter because I had extra blonde on my brush. So it was just a whole kerfuffle. And this is me just going back and trying to fix the error of my ways. This right here is the longer bundle, so I wasn't too upset because that's the part that's going on like the bottom of my hair. So the other one is the one that I got right. You'll be able to see me go through that process with two brushes and get everything cleaned up and right in the right way, and that's the one that's really going to be visible to anyone who's looking at me with like my hair down or anything like that. So I wasn't too upset. I was a little sad, but you know, things happen. This whole process was trial and error. So Alright, just finished that first bundle. Now this is the bundle where I went and did all of the mathematical process of trying to figure out exactly how I was gonna do this. Y'all, when I say that I went through and measured out exactly half of each thing and mixed it in, like, you should have seen me. I was a mathematician over here. One thing that I really tried to do during this process was keep a neat and tidy workspace. That's one thing that you will be able to notice I'm doing whenever I dyed my natural hair. Oh my goodness, things were like everywhere. I didn't have the foil. I was like on the floor using my two mirrors. I'm gonna show you my whole setup in a little bit, but it was crazy. My 3-year-old niece ended up coming in the room and messing with stuff. I couldn't stop her because I had like dye on my hands. It was all over the place. So this time I was very, very systematic with how I tried to organize my space, and things went really well. We went really smoothly, pretty fast, and by fast I mean, you know, what, like a 20-minute application time. So it wasn't too bad. So as you can see, right, I've got the two bowls here, two brushes. One brush I'm going into the ends with the blonde, and then the other one, that brown, it's not just the brown color, but it's actually brown mixed with the blonde color, so a little bit of a lighter brown. And so I'm just, you know, taking the ends, doing the blonde with the on the ends, and then the other brush I'm going through the rest of it, and then I'm taking a little second to go in the middle just very lightly. I don't want to get any of the other color on my brush. I think I was using the brown brush to do it whenever I was going through the middle, but I was trying to create that like nice ombre. I didn't want that sharp, like a very sharp color change there, but I wanted to kind of fade into it. I don't know that I captured it that well. I think the colors ended up being just really close, so you can't really tell all that much anyways. But that's one thing I was really trying to do. I kind of had the method almost like painting, right? However, if there's any painters watching, then you know there's a very, very like gentle, meticulous touch when it comes to like painting a picture and using a paintbrush on any kind of canvas, and that's kind of the way that I was going. And if you see me going over the exact same parts a couple times over, what I'm doing is I'm actually trying to push the color through to the bottom. So sometimes you'll see me lift up the hair and actually like paint the hair onto the back of the hair. But sometimes you'll just see me kind of like, it looks like I'm going over the same spot multiple times. What I'm doing is I'm just like pushing the pieces of hair over to the side, kind of flipping them over and really just pushing that color into so that it gets to both sides. Actually, what you're looking at here is me dyeing one whole section blonde. I mentioned that in an earlier video. I ran out of the brown blonde mix and was only left with blonde, and I know I couldn't reuse it now that I mixed everything, and I had to do something with the last section, so I figured I would just dye the whole section blonde, and then I figured I would just kind of use those as highlights throughout my hair. I wanted to make sure to capture this part here, so this is kind of the reveal, not the big reveal, but a little bit of a reveal, you know. So I've been checking and looking into the foil here and there to see if it's starting to lighten, and this is when I started getting really excited because I could see that different color, you know. I could see the brown color at the top and I could see the blonde at the bottom, so I was really excited and I wanted to capture that also for you guys to see as well. But this is just the process of me rinsing out the hair dye after it's been processing. I let it sit for about an hour. The pack actually says I think it says like 20 minutes, but the video that I watched of the inspiration video that I got for my hair getting that brown color, she let hers sit for an hour and I let mine on my natural hair sit for an hour, and that's how I achieved this color. So that's what I did for this. So this is me just rinsing it out. You saw me kind of lathering a little bit. That was also in the instructions, so it didn't say just go and rinse it out, but to wet it, lather it up, and then do a quick rinse until everything is fully clear. Now I am adding in the leave-in conditioner. When I tell y'all that this hair was so soft after using this conditioner, my goodness, I love this hair, y'all. Y'all really gotta look into the raw hair. If you need something straight, they even have the straight. I don't have the straight, so I don't know, I can't review it. I don't know how good it is, but the curly is actually really pretty, and I'm actually not someone who does curls whenever I get weave. I've always been kind of scared because it seemed like a lot of maintenance, but this hair has treated me well. They also have wavy too. Look into Private Label. They haven't sponsored this video or anything. I'm just really happy with the products I received from them. Okay, time has passed. I let it sit for about 5 minutes, maybe a little bit more, a little bit less, and then I'm just gonna rinse it out. I decided not to do this on a time lapse because this one is pretty quick, but this marks basically the end of the dyeing process, so I will let you guys watch the rest and be back on camera. Hello, I am back after coloring the hair. I'm actually getting ready to start on the actual extension process, but I just wanted to show you guys what things are looking like now. So I remember I showed you that I messed up on one of the bundles. I tried to go back and fix it as best as I can. You actually can't see it that well on camera, but I lightened the bottom and it is a little bit lighter. You can't really see it, maybe just a tiny bit. But it was supposed to be darker here and then fade into like a lighter like blonde color. It ended up all getting this light like brownish color, which is okay. I mean, I'm not mad at it. It's a little bit lighter than my hair, but I think it's gonna go well. You know, this first portion is gonna be what I braid onto the ends of my hair, and then the rest is gonna be light, which is really what I wanted. So this is the longer one, and then this is the one that I hadn't dyed yet. I finally got it dyed. This one, I believe the ombre effect did a little bit better. Sorry, some of it is kind of splotchy because I'm not, you know, I'm not a colorist. This was like my first time doing this other than when I did it on my hair, but you can kind of see a little bit better on this bundle where it goes from dark, medium brown to the lighter ends. And then toward the end of my like dye, I had a lot of the blonde dye left. So with one of the sections, I just did the whole thing blonde. None of it came out blonde because I'm lightening it like from that natural like black color or the natural brownish black color. So it didn't lighten all the way to blonde, but it gave like this. This was as light as I could get it on this round, like on the first round. And that's pretty cute, you know. It's this I don't know what you would call this. Auburn, maybe, I'm not sure. But it's pretty. And so I figured I would just use like these pieces as like little highlights that I would just string through my hair throughout. But for the most part, everything's gonna be this like ombre color that goes from the darkish, the natural black into the brown into the lighter color. So I'm gonna go ahead and begin putting these in. I will give you guys a tour of my setup, and then I'll probably get most of my head done before coming back on and showing you guys exactly how I'm going about it. And then I'll show you guys the final result. Stay tuned.